Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knicks family. Welcome to Lunchtime Live, the Knicks Recap and Reaction Show. My name is Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen, joined by Geoff Klafter from the Happily Ever Klafter Daily Sports blog, as well as Knick Nation. Make sure I get that right. The Knicks with a phenomenal win last night against the Denver Nuggets showed a lot of resiliency. In my opinion, you can argue that they had to win that game twice, and they did. Heroes abound, so much to talk about. I really think it was a season-shifting win, and in my opinion, and I think it was also a testament, I guess, for lack of a better word right now, to the idea that you have to see a team over a long period of time to get a sense of who they are. And you can argue that we may even need to see more. So, you know, the Knicks aren't as bad as that 2-9 stretch. Maybe they're not as good as this 8-0 stretch. But I think this stretch right here is a little different than that first stretch, because I feel like they've gone through the adversity. They've changed some things offensively. They've changed some things defensively. They seem to be buying in. And it makes me believe that this 8-game streak and how they've looked, listen, they're not going to win out the rest of the season, but I believe more in what I'm seeing, just given the adversity that they went through to start the season. And listen, as fans, we're allowed to be, you know, up when they're, let me put it to be up, you know, and riding that high when they're winning like this, and to be low and in the ground when they're, you know, 2-9 over 11. But, you know, the front office hopefully are behind the scenes taking that level headed view and looking at the direction of this team. And I trust them, and I'm encouraged by that. Anyway, we're going to start with, you know, Knick Nation, then Geoff just giving a brief overview, and then we're gonna get into the nitty gritty in terms of talking about this performance. Knick Nation, just a brief overview of last night's game.
Oh, like you definitely said, we won the game twice. There was a lot of mitigating factors that, you know, caused that, which we'll discuss as we go on. I just was happy that they put it together. Mitchell Robinson, you know, key guys down the stretch. Brunson put us on his back. You know, Cat coming in after being injured and, you know, going right to work, which kind of, you know, at halftime really kind of brought us really back. That 7-point swing was, I thought, was pivotal at an early point, at an halftime early point in the game. That projected us. It looked like it definitely projected us in the third quarter. And as we know, the fourth quarter, well, the 3 fourth quarters that we had to have in order to grind it out and win this game. But I'm definitely happy for it. And big shout out to everybody in the chat. Please hit that like and subscribe. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Somebody said the Knicks just traded for Alvarado. So while Geoff is talking, I am looking to confirm that. Go ahead, Geoff.
Okay. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I like my chicken nuggets once bitten, twice fried. And so that's what we got last night. I'll tell you, man, I am glad to be back from the dead. They had to do CPR on me last night, and in the middle, when that foul call went through, I was beside myself. I was like, "Are you kidding me? This game is going to another overtime." But we have Wednesday night church services, so I didn't even get home until overtime started. And so, but apparently it was a nip and tuck playoff caliber game from pillar to post. From what the announcing crew was saying, Jokic wasn't supposed to play more than 20 minutes. He played 45. And so I think that speaks to how much the Nuggets wanted this game. And the fact that the Knicks were able to take it away from them twice really speaks to the toughness of this team. And I think after coming back and shooting those free throws, we can lose the soft label on Towns, please. Like, the guy literally had blood dripping from his jersey. It looked like he had lost a street fight, and he's out there making free throws. So I don't think he's a soft player at all. I think he is able to show a toughness in his own way. And I thought this was a gritty win by the Knickerbockers. Just a never say die, no quit attitude, and then and that's what's impressive. It's the most impressive win during the streak, and we've blown some teams out. But how you handle adversity, and this game was chock full of it. These are the games that prepare you for the playoffs. And yes, they were missing Aaron Gordon, but we were missing Deuce, and we were missing Josh Hart. So I think that more than balances that out. So I think all in all, just a terrific win in one of the best games of the season, just highly entertaining, back and forth. I thought it was played at a high level. So kudos to the Knicks on a really good ball game.
It was like a heavyweight fight, and they were slugging on both sides, and neither team was willing to go down, right? There was some times in that fourth quarter where I thought like the Knicks had a comfortable lead, and here they go marching back. And then there were times when they had not a huge lead, because no one had a double-digit lead in this, in this game. And then Shamet would come, and not just Shamet, but those stuck out and hit some huge threes, for us. So it was a very entertaining game. So I'm going to start with Brunson, and then you guys can, piggyback off of that. And then Geoff, Knick Nation, you can go where you want to go. I thought Brunson was phenomenal last night, and he didn't start off shooting the ball, right? I felt like he picked his spots. There was like a time in the fourth quarter where I thought like he might have took it over maybe a bit too much on a couple of possessions. But when we got into that OT and then that second overtime, and he had 10 of his 42 points in the second overtime. Listen, it's not lost on me that you need guys like that if you're going to win a championship. Like, you need guys like that that just say, you know what, we're not losing this game, period, point blank. And what I also like is that when they did double team, he didn't force it. Like, even though he was, making really good shots, he still didn't force it with the double team. He still made the right decision. And then those guys came through, as well. So I thought it was a phenomenal performance by Jalen Brunson. 8 rebounds, charges, assists, just doing whatever it took to win. And so any concern that I had that he was just going to be on the back burner, I think was answered tonight, and which is really good, that he can pick his spots and he knows when he needs to step up. I thought he was phenomenal last night. Anything else on Brunson?
Couple things. First, he did have 5 turnovers last night, which is high for him. But all in all, I mean, he went nuclear he outscored the Nuggets by himself in the overtime.
Geoff, that's what you always say. Whenever I bring up somebody had so-and-so turnovers, you'd be like, oh, but they had almost 2-1 assists. So
yeah, but we have to give the full picture. We don't just have to wave the palm.
I know. But again, I remember bringing up somebody had, I can't tell you how many assists, and you were sure to point out, turnovers, how many assists they had. So let's give the full picture.
And let me finish. I've got flowers. You got flowers too. So I have a rule. I don't know if y'all watch the MSG broadcast. They have the Knicks trivia question of the night. And my son and I have decided it's not really a true Knick trivia question unless Richie Guerin is one of the answers. And so Brunson joined an elite club of guys with 40-plus points, 5-plus rebounds, and 5 assists per game. He passed Richie Guerin last night in terms of that. And in terms of 49 and 8, I think that's only been done by 2 other players in Knick history, and that's Bernard King and Richie Guerin. And so you're talking about elite company, and flowers to him. But, and I just mentioned the turnovers because it seemed like in the beginning of the game he wasn't quite as locked in, but in that fourth quarter and through the 2 overtimes, he was completely locked in. And my favorite play was when he found Landry Shamet in the corner. The double came quick. He kicked it to him in the corner, and Shamet knocked down the 3. What a fantastic decision that was on his part. And then just the shot making. Some of those makes he had in the second overtime were high degree of difficulty shots that are just one of one. I mean, if you want to talk about an MVP candidate, he showed you why he should be in the conversation always. There's not a lot of players who can do that across the league. So kudos to him, flowers to him. But I did want to mention that he was a little bit higher on the turnover because he's not a high turnover player. So 5 is actually quite a bit for him, as I think why it stood out to me. Usually he's, 2 or 3. But Maestro
on the assist as well. He doesn't usually get 9.
Correct.
Yeah. I just think, because it really was, I believe he had 4 turnovers in the first half. He only had 1, I believe, in the second half. So he cleaned up a lot of that. 4 things stood out to me definitely last night was Brunson's ability to answer Murray, because I think he was determined not to have Murray come in here, put up, phenomenal numbers and leave out of here with the win without him doing his thing to answering him. And kudos to him, because to have 42 points, I believe it was 9 assists and 8 rebounds. That is a phenomenal game by anybody's standards. The second thing to me was Towns' ability, like I said, to come out and answer in that second, in that after that injury. And if it takes somebody popping him in the eye for him to come out with that much push, then so be it. Somebody needs to.
Yak's going to go to the bench himself and sneak up on him and just cap him in that and run back to the bench.
Yes, because for him, because that this is what we've been looking for, that assertiveness, coming out after that injury and calling for the ball, which you see that he can do when it's at certain things. Whatever happened with it, you can look his demand and his demeanor to come and get that ball. Scored 7 quick points to shift us and bring us right back. That I thought was huge. Another thing I thought that was huge. I hate to say it, but
can we just stick with one at a time?
Okay.
So you're going to say something else about Cat. Let's piggyback off of Cat, so that way we kind of stay on one topic at a time. So anything you want to say?
That was just my thing on Cat. That was just it on Cat, though. So you guys can go on.
Okay. The next point was on Cat. If it was, you could go with it.
No, the next point was on Mitchell Robinson.
Oh. You're going to definitely get to Mitch, who was outstanding last night. But
exactly.
You want to piggyback off of Cat, Geoff?
Yeah, the Cat under the radars, he gets overshadowed by the 42, but of late, I would say the last 3 or 4 games, I think I've really liked what he's been doing. And again, he didn't have very many shot opportunities. He had, I think, 24 points on 13 shots, something like that. But what was impressive to me, he was 7 for 7 from inside the arc. Like, he made all of his shots inside, and I think that's a good sign. He wasn't bad. I mean, 2 for 6 isn't great, but it's not terrible either from beyond the arc. But the fact that he was making those shots, so a lot of times in his slump, he was missing a lot of those looks. So the fact that he was able to knock all of those down, and this is a game that went to overtime. Every single point that he scored mattered, and he fouled out of the game, but at the same time, his contributions were outstanding. And look, I think that he deserves a shot to be here the rest of the season, and let's see where we can go with him, because I think he's a critical piece. And I think it's encouraging that he hasn't been the focal point, and he's still producing at a high level. And so kudos to him, and a great job by Towns, and a great team win. And we don't get that without his contributions, especially on the glass. He's, again, he led the team in rebounds. He's just a force. I think his defense has been a lot better. Jokic is a handful, and they try and put him in actions with he and Murray all day long. And Brunson had to suffer through some of those things as well. And, we'll talk more about Mitch, but I thought, it's tough to say you shut down Joker when he had a, 30-point triple-double, but we also forced him into a lot of difficult shots. And I think it was like 1 for 13 from three. And I think that our bigs had a lot to do with that, because those weren't wide open, nobody within 10 feet of them looks. We're up in your face, and you can shoot it if you want to, but we're here as a reminder, it kind of looks. And I think that's a tribute to the effort and the hustle that Towns is putting in. And so kudos to him for that.
Yeah. I think over the past, not just this game, maybe the past 3-4 games, he's looking more like himself. And I just like when he gets the ball, he's strong with the ball now. And maybe I'm overstating that, but I feel like when he gets the ball, he makes definitive moves. The ball is not flying out of his hands from every little touch. Even that 3 he took past the logo, I mean, those are shots he usually, takes and makes in seasons past. And so even though he only got, I was surprised. It might have just been 11 shots. No, it was 13 shots. I still felt like he was more involved in the offense, even though he only took 13 shots. Like, it didn't look like he was, he was an afterthought. And on defense, to your point, Geoff, I thought he was battling out there on defense. The Joker is a load. I think he might have put on a little weight when he was out with the injury, right? Because when he was posting up Towns looking like a stick, behind him. But to me, what's so important is this bodes well for us going forward if this is going to be Karl-Anthony Towns rounding into shape, because we're going to need everybody to make this push to the finals, and we're going to need everybody playing their best basketball. You don't have to play over your head, but just play your best basketball. And I think we'd all agree, for whatever reason, we haven't been getting the best of Cat on the offensive end. And if this is him rounding into shape, this Knicks team is going to be really, really good. Come the playoffs. So I'm going to say this and get out the way, because we got 2 huge Mitchell Robinson fans. So I feel like if I don't say anything right now, there's nothing left for me to say. I'm going to keep it short, and I'm going to let them take it over. Mitchell Robinson was outstanding last night. Like, this was like a throwback performance. It was just last week we were talking about his ankles, right, Knick Nation? Those ankles looked like they were polished and ready last night. The way he was able to switch out on the perimeter, the crossover to the rim, the block of the 3-point shot. Listen, I'll leave that to you, but this is what I want to point out. They took away his offensive rebounding, and I'm sure that was a concerted point of theirs. They took away all of out there. I mean, they had more second chance points than we had. They had more offensive rebounds than we had. But we found a way to win that game, and Mitchell Robinson found another way to contribute when they took away the offensive rebounds. I believe he had 1. He had 10 points, and as I just outlined, his defense was on another level. And that's it. Yeah, was on another. I'm going to leave it at that. But just shout out to Mitchell Robinson for the work he put in last night. All right. I may not have nothing else to say for the rest of the show, because I know these guys about to go at it.
Well, no, not really. I just, you know what I mean? It's just that Mitch is Mitch. And I'm fully on the train. I've always been on the train. I might be the conductor of Never Trade Mitch. So, he showed us those, key points and key stops that Mitch made, the contribution, the never bitching about his role of, what he does and what's names, just out there fully dedicated and giving the team what it needs at those critical points. And like you said, Steph, that crossover and dunk was something else. You know what I mean? It was more than two dribbles. That one,
Exactly.
You thought it was going to stop there, but nope. Mitch took it all the way down the lane. It looked like the monster, the blockness monster was there and coming down the lane. I was overwhelmed beyond excitement. But his defense, his key stops, and you say offensive rebounds, but the Joker, is a load. That guy is, just to get around him, to get anywhere, what's the length of his arms, everything, because he really doesn't jump. If you notice, he kind of comes up on one leg a little bit, like, he kind of arches his hip, one leg, and maybe he might come off the ground about that. But that's it. And that's all he really has to do. But his ability to block you out off the boards and try to, what's the thing is, man, it's good luck getting around that guy. But we found a way, and I'll just say it point blank. Never trade Mitch. And we have to do whatever we have to do in the offseason to figure it out and come up with some money, because we need him. I don't see us without him, and I don't really want to see us without him. But I'll leave it over to Geoff on the rest.
I will say this real quick. The front office is good enough to find a way to re-sign Mitch without going over the second apron. There is a way to do it, and they have to figure it out, and I believe they will. That may be getting off of a player that we like to make it happen, but if they find a way to re-sign Mitch and stay underneath that second apron, I'm all for it. Front office, work your magic.
Please.
And the Yabu trade may have helped do that already.
That's it. That's a huge point. That's what I was going to say. But I was surprised all the Mitch talk. We didn't even talk about my favorite Mitch play of the night, and that's when he got switched on at Murray. And he
had to leave something on for you.
He pokes the ball away and forces that latent shot clock violation in overtime. Man, that's difficult. You're talking about, Murray is shifty, and he was getting it, whatever shot he wanted all night, to be switched out on him in space with no help coming. And he just, locked him down, got his paw in there, and didn't swat down, because you get slapped down, you get the foul, you slap up, you get the ball, and no call. And so really good fundamentals there, and maybe a little bit of luck, because he kind of indicated with Alan Hahn afterwards, it's like, I just, it just kind of happened that way. So, but what I liked about it is the versatility between he and Towns. They bring different things to the table to be able to play them separately or together, and to have a night where Towns only gets 26 minutes because he committed 8.2 million fouls. It really helps our cause when we can play big still with Robinson. And it seems like when you put Robinson and three other quality defenders on the floor with Brunson, that defensive lineup works. And so we're figuring some of those things out, and so I'm pretty excited about that. He did get caught in the air late though. We got lucky because he hacked Joker on a three and gave 3 free throws, but thankfully Joker missed 2 of them. So I guess I'm David Downer twice on this one. But we got to talk about the whole game, not just about the parts we like. And for those who don't know,
You've been consistent, Geoff. You've been consistent with that.
Mitchell Robinson, my favorite Knick. And cool thing about him is the only player from his draft class to still be playing with the team that drafted for him.
Good for him.
That's kind of crazy when you think about it, but
yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff from Mitchell Robinson. Where do we want to go next?
Landry?
Well,
We could do Landry. We could do.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me, but I thought Shamet, 6 of 15, I think, from the floor, but 4 of 10 from 3. And man, when we needed the buckets, he just always seems to find them, right? He is channeling his inner Dante DiVincenzo, and I love it. I mean, on both sides, I think he's tough-minded on defense. He fights over screens. He's really, really doing a great job, and especially without Hart, 36 minutes, starters load for him, and we didn't miss a beat with him. And his point of attack defense and us, the Knicks against Denver, hounded the ball and really attacked the point. Their point of attack defense was on point all night. I thought they really attacked the Denver ball handlers to try and make it difficult for them all evening long. And he was a huge part of that. So he's just going to be a key rotation piece moving forward. And like Mitch, we got to find a way to bring him back too, probably, because he looks like he's a versatile piece for us and brings a lot to the table.
Yeah. Anything on Shamet, Knick Nation?
I love Shamet really more so is because of the value of his worth. His price tag is so low for the exception point of what he's given out. If we take comparison right now, let's just say right off the bat, Mikal, what Mikal is making and projected to make and what Shamet is, making. If you look at the core value point of that, you would say to yourself, ooh, this is like, the bridge is spread so wide from them. So we have to be thankful for Leon and them at least getting that point right and, bringing this guy back and, implementing him deep into our system. Because as you can see right now, we need him and we need him desperately. So big up to him for staying ready, fighting through the shoulder, because it's 2 years in a row and you can become very discouraged and things like that. But the guy comes in, and as they say, as a pro and a professional, he had quite a few bonehead plays last night on defense, but otherwise than that, he still, stayed aggressive and still, still stayed physical and still leaned into it. So I have nothing but respect for what Shamet has given us, especially at that value of a price.
Yeah. I think this is who I thought Shamet would be when we signed him last year, and I was singing his praises, and Geoff and them was like, "Relax already, okay?" But this is what I was envisioning for Shamet, and we're getting it now. And let's not underestimate timely shooting. Right? You can have 30 points
Yes.
and or 18 points, whatever it is, and we need them all. Don't get me wrong, but those timely shots matter. And we got 2 players to me, Deuce and Shamet, who Shamet of late, Deuce more consistently, who are just hitting these timely shots for us to help us get back in the game or help extend our lead. And he had at least 2, I want to say, last night. He wasn't the only one. We had some timely shots. Brunson also had some timely buckets also. But I love his defense. And then I also love that he'll drive the ball too. If he has to, he'll drive the ball and pull up for the mid-range, showing a little versatility and defensively. For his size, he's very physical on the defensive end. You're not going to bully him. You might shoot over the top, but you're not going to bully him, through to the basket. So yeah, kudos to Shamet. And I think for this run to the finals, the Knicks are going to need everybody, including Shamet. And with Deuce out, he's come up big. Like, his minutes have increased. Doesn't necessarily mean all the time when you increase someone's minutes that you're going to get the productivity, but in this case, we have. So really, really liking what we're getting. What we're getting from him. Where do you want to go next, Knick Nation?
I want to keep it where a point where we a little bit go back to Brunson and Cat a little bit because I don't want to undermine what they have done in this 8 game stretch. Towns, less fouls. Brunson fighting over screens. Brunson taking, you know what I mean, taking these charges. Cat being, in the right place. Cat maintaining point of these rebounds. I think that has really interjected into this system here and has improved it greatly. Because there were times where you could look where, say, Brunson's not in the right place, pure blow by, not getting over that screen, you know what I mean, what's in here, which causes as we know, causes that domino action. But in these last 8 games, he has been in the right place, has taken on that physical contact, has taken on those, because believe me or not, you're getting fouled extremely trying to get over these screens. So, you know what I mean? But for him to take that on as well, and for us to, you could see the results of those things. I don't think it's something that we should just look over. I think that point with that discussion, and maybe those things were pointed out in in that discussion, and those guys have taken on the challenge. And I think that has been the real difference in this 8 game stretch.
Yeah, I agree with you because defense, you have to be on the string. And you can have 3 players around them doing their job. And if they're not just playing good team defense and being where they're supposed to be, it just makes it really difficult. And now Wingstop is looking bad. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So, they have simplified the scheme. So Mike Brown says for these schematic people, you could probably see it. But I just see the players communicating more, moving more. Nobody seems out of place, at least to the eye test. And yeah, if you can get those guys just playing good team defense and the other ones doing what they're supposed to do, the Knicks defense should continue to um, get better, or at least continue to trend in a positive direction. I do want to say the Knicks did give up 30 points in that first quarter. Um, Murray had 20 of the first 24 Denver points. Those things are going to happen. I just like how the Knicks responded, right? 23 points in the second quarter. Murray had just 19 points through the second half and 2 overtimes. You know what I mean? So those things are going to happen. How do you respond? They take away your offensive rebound, and how are you going to respond? And the Knicks responded well. And I think we could talk about the offense, the defense, the schemes. We haven't even talked about Mike Brown and the lineups. Grit matters. Resiliency matters. Physicality matters. Never give up. Like the next man up. Like those are the things you're going to need if you're going to make a run to the finals. Those intangibles, those personality characteristics of a team, we're going to need that. And I see that growing with this Knick team. Anything else before we get to the chat and the trade?
I just want to quickly, the quick thing, because I know it's big for you. Did you check your boy out where he came down, surveyed the place up, and pulled up for just a 3 out of nowhere? And I'm talking about your boy Diawara. Did you see that?
But you know what? I'm not gonna fault. I'm not gonna fault Diawara. And before we move to the chat, this is what I wanted to give Mike Brown credit. He's been a magician, so to speak, at incorporating the young guys, really staying true to the front office mandate and picking the spots. Somebody goes down, he's like, oh, great, this is an opportunity to get him in. And he'll just put him in 5 minutes. Sometimes you might not even see them in the second half. Sometimes you might. Sometimes you'll see him in a game. Sometimes you might not. McCullough got a few minutes. Then he might be a DMP for a few games, but you never know when you're going to be called on. And then I also like him starting Clarkson, whether Clarkson is a part of the future or not. And he did this with Yabusele too, where Yabusele would get DNPs and then he'll get a few minutes. And I think that keeps everybody engaged instead of it's over, lights out. I'll never see. Just when you think I'm not going to get in, I'm starting. Wow. Just when you think you're not going to see the court again, you get a few minutes. I don't know if he's doing that intentionally, but I like that. Keep them, not necessarily keeping them guessing, but never wanting anybody to lose their confidence because you might need them again. Never wanting them to get down and feel like they're not part of the team because you might need them later on. I just love the way he's doing this, and I just love the way guys are responding. Clarkson, Yabu when he was here, he's gone now, and the young guys. Whenever they get in, they respond. So I really like that.
Excellent. Definitely gives them value too, and gives them the real meaning of, saying when people say to you, always be ready, stay ready, and then for you to actually see it. That I think that's big for them young guys, and they are doing a fantastic job. The growth in them has been tremendous, and for us to keep this basically one difference. I think we're one game of a difference in record of last year this season. But the richness of having our young players having that same record, but having our young players actually have some real experience and gaining real value is, to me, a 2+ twofold. So,
yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to the chat. Paris Douglas, appreciate you. Bullet points. Brunson making sure we belong against two stars who wanted that game was greatness. Mitch D was great. Cat was great. Shaking my head at Macau's game. Yeah, he didn't have a really good game with just 5 points. But I will say this. When he was called with 0.3 seconds and we went into, I think it was the second overtime, I knew if that ball got to Mikal Bridges, he is going to knock it down. And when he did, that was a huge basket for us. And what that tells me, and I've said this about Cat a few times, the game is not going well for you, but you staying in it. You staying in it. You staying in it. And when you get an opportunity, you knock down a big shot. You can't do that unless you stay mentally focused on the game, and you're not focused on the fact that, oh, Jamal Murray is cutting me up. They had to put OG on him. Oh my goodness, I can't hit a shot. I only got 2 points. He stayed mental. Oh my goodness, if it wasn't for me, we would he didn't lose his head. And when the ball came around to him and he had an opportunity to knock it down, he did. So it wasn't the greatest game for Mikal Bridges. But when he had an opportunity to hit a big shot,
he did.
He did. All right. I do want to, Jerrell, the Knicks are acquiring Jose Alvarado in a trade with the Pelicans, as reported by Ian Begley. The Knicks will trade Dale and Terry, who they got for Yabusele, and 2 second-round picks to New Orleans in exchange for Alvarado. And then somebody said, can somebody look this up, that McBride is having surgery? Is that true? Listen, I'm not, Mark Felton, I appreciate you. Yes, finally another ball handler. Kim Doc, appreciate you, sis, rocking with us. Yo, that Alvarado move is slick. Okay, Leon. Lady and the Chef back stateside. Appreciate you, sis. Whenever you want to join us, we're going on tonight, 9:00. If you want to join us, you're welcome. Nick's got a dog, Jose Alvarado. Chris Willard, sis, who made the new logo. We're gonna reveal it tonight. I got it up now. You might not really be able to see it that well, but we'll reveal it tonight. I appreciate you, sis. I like that trade, but damn, Kolick was cooking. I mean, if Deuce is down, maybe things don't change. Maybe things don't change too much. I don't have a problem with Alvarado. I just need somebody 6'5". I just need somebody 6'5" next to Brunson that could play point of attack defense, which he can, and give us some. Yeah. But you don't want to be big for nothing. Like, you don't want to be just 6'5" just to be 6'5". Like, you gotta contribute. So we'll see how it works out. Any quick thoughts on Alvarado joining the team, guys?
He wasn't my kind of guy. I'm just being honest. I thought, like he say, I'm a little disappointed. I'm sure we'll talk about this more tonight, in them not getting somebody, to me, more of a wing power kind of forward area kind of person. To me, I thought that's what we truly needed. But, this, it is what it is. We have to make do.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Alvarado's game. He's high turnover player. He doesn't have a really good assist percentage. He has in a couple years in the past, but this year, maybe just because of the way New Orleans is, he not really a great shooter, not terrible from outside, about 36%. He's what, 6 foot tall. He's feisty. I know he does get a lot of steals. I think his nickname is Grand Theft Alvarado. So I assume by that he does go for the pill every once in a while. But I guess if you want to say that he's like a Deuce McBride light, okay, but he's not the shooter that McBride is. Maybe he's a better playmaker. I'm not sure that that's true either. I would just as soon have kept Dalen Terry. I think that he would have been he's 6'6". He's a good defender. He's shooting the 3 ball pretty well this year. I would much rather have Terry on this roster than Alvarado. That's a head scratching move for me. And I don't really care for it that much.
Yeah. I think it remains to be seen about his playmaking, because say what you want to say about Deuce and Shamet. Those guys are not guys that can, run a team, in my opinion, in the playoffs behind Brunson. Maybe he was just brought in for insurance, with Kolick being young. So maybe he was just brought in, for that. We shall see, in terms of what his role could, would be. But right now, it's never a bad idea. I would have preferred someone other than Alvarado, but it's never a bad idea to have 3 point guards on your roster. And right now we have 3 point guards, flawed, short, whatever you want to go. We do have 3 point guards on the roster. If Brunson gets in foul trouble, if he's injured, if he can't play, you have 2 point guards behind him that can run your show. That's super important. But Alonzo Ball is a little broke down. He's shooting terrible this year. I think like 30% from overall, 26% from 3, like not even shooting well from the line, like 60-something percent. Yeah. He might get bought out by Utah. I think I would have took a flyer on him. And again, he has not shot well. He has an injury history, but off the buyout market, maybe, we'll see. And then Alvarado is going to come in here and he's going to win our heart because he's going to be playing good point of attack defense. And the lineups in which he's in, the Knicks are only giving up 94 points,
I hope so, because it was reported that he didn't want to come home. So that's where I'm a little strange why they did it, because that's what they say.
He didn't want to
come back.
He didn't want to. Was it he didn't want to come to the Knicks, or he didn't want to leave New Orleans?
They say he didn't want to leave New Orleans, and I'm assuming it's probably because the amount of playing time he gets, as opposed to he knows what he's going to get here is, some DNPs, 5 minutes here, 7 minutes here. So,
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
I would figure with Deuce being out, his role would be he could carve out at least a solid amount of minutes per game. Once we're completely healthy, that's one thing. But if Deuce is out to the playoffs at a minimum, he's going to have some time. You know what I mean? And he's going to have to guard his rear end off, because that's what's going to keep him on the floor. We need that replication of what he can do. And because Shaman can't do it by himself. And I haven't seen enough of Jose. Maybe he's better at the point of attack than I realize. I don't watch a lot of New Orleans games. So I don't have all I can go by is what the stat sheet says. And I'm underwhelmed, let's just say, by what the stat sheet says. So hopefully he, in a different environment with better players around him, maybe he elevates his game and brings some stuff that we will appreciate as fans. And I always love defense. So if he can bring that first, then he'll probably win me over pretty quickly if he plays well on that side of the ball.
He will play well on that side of the ball. He's real scrappy, but I need to also see how he runs a team. Knicks Real Talk, man. Devon, my brother in the house. Appreciate you. Be sure to check out Knicks Real Talk. That's my favorite pregame ritual when I can make it, and I'm not seeing clients, man. I just love the work him and Shy Powers does over there. Nick Nation is there. I poached Nick Nation for a few. I hope you don't mind. Back and forth. We got to share. Brothers and sisters share,
Exactly.
But in terms of Jose Alvarado, he says playing in a stable system might benefit him more than playing in New Orleans. I agree. Sometimes it's hard to get a bead on a player when they're playing in a system and they're not surrounded by good players. They don't have a defined role. Maybe you're asking them to do more than they can do or should be doing for their skill set. And maybe coming in here, to Devon's point, playing with better players, having a defined role, maybe we get the best of Alvarado. He's not going to grow, but he is. If you look past his height, I will say this: he is a New York type of player. He is a New York type of player. Like, this is somebody that he's not going to back down. He's going to be up into you, and he ain't taking no tea for the fever. Like, he might be our most New York player, quite frankly, and just in terms of attitude and grit. Like, yeah, he's New York through and through. He's not a transplant. He's not from upstate. Don't get those that are upstate.
Upstaters.
Yeah. He Brooklyn. I mean, not Brooklyn. Is it Brooklyn? I think
he's Crown Heights. Yeah, I think he's more of a Crown Heights kind of guy.
All right,
he's similar to Payne. He's similar to Payne. Yeah, he's similar to Payne. He's a pest. He's a pest on defense. That's what he does.
Yeah. He's a smaller pest than Payne, though.
Yes. Yes.
But Jerrell said he's actually 6'5" with his hair out.
Can he play defense with that hair?
Yeah. Reese Anderson, 9069. Just his height might be a problem. Brother, you already know. We came up together. Nick Yat, our problem was covering big guards. How is this helping? That was part of the problem. The other part of the problem was the non-Brunson minutes, being able, like somebody said, this could be a playoff move. This could be a playoff move. I mean, we'll see. Kevin Berg not wanting to leave New Orleans is very different than not wanting to come to the Knicks. Okay. Rodney, 135.70. He's too small, period. Okay. I think I put this up already. I'm not sure. Gene, 3260. Deuce is having hernia surgery, not ankle surgery. Okay.
That would make more sense than anything else then.
Mark Felton, 5334. Buyout market move still available. Okay.
Are they, though? I will have to look at that. I know they had gained about $100,000 if they were just bringing in Dalen Terry. I'll have to look before tonight's show and see what the contract situation is for Alvarado as compared with Yabu. Whether that increases our amount available for the 15th roster spot or decreases it, I don't know that offhand. I should have been prepared with that information, but I kind of thought we were going to be talking trade more on the evening show and
we are
focusing more on
do your homework, Geoff.
the game. But I did need to do my homework, so my apologies on that.
No, for tonight. Do your homework for tonight.
Yeah,
but I'll get some answers on that hopefully, and be able to speak to it this evening, because one of the things that I liked about Terry is was a completely expiring contract, and so that opened up a window to bring back Robinson and Shamet and stay below the second apron. And I think that we just handed that possibility back away with Alvarado. I'm pretty sure that Alvarado has a player option on his contract in a similar way to what Yabusele did. But I'll have to check on that.
The Knicks have to figure it out. The Knicks are not going to be able to keep everybody and stay under the second apron. Figure out who your core is and who the switchable pieces are around the core. Golden State did it. The New England Patriots did it. They figured out who their core was, and then every year they would change things around the edges. That may be what the Knicks have to do. I think it's paramount to stay under the second apron so that you have that flexibility, particularly when you don't really know who this team is. And we're not going to know until they go through the playoffs. Right.
Well, if it's 4.8, Knicks Real Talk, thank you. If it's 4.8, then we saved an additional amount of money, and we should be able to. That's big, because that allows us to sign somebody for that 15th roster spot sooner. Because I'm pretty sure that Terry was at like 5.1 or 5.2, and so I think that shaves another $300,000 off. So that gives us a good amount of added flexibility for this year. So that may change my opinion on the deal, because that may mean that we are able to bring in a guy like Lonzo Ball if he gets bought out, or some Mike Conley or someone like that who gets bought out. So I mean, Conley seems obsolete now because we've already got Alvarado. How many undersized guards do you want on one team? But we could probably
That's a requirement to play for the Knicks.
That's true, but I'm just saying
it's crazy.
Yeah. But I do think that allows us to bolster the front court with somebody, or the wing with somebody. I don't know who that somebody is with that last roster spot, and still stay, because we're hard capped on that second apron. So the more room that we have, the faster we can bring that player in. And still stay under that second tax line. So that little bit less that Alvarado makes, that makes the deal make more sense. I was under the impression that they were all $5 million players, but there's a big difference between a $5.3 million player and a $4.8 million player when we're dealing with every penny, every dime counts here. So that extra $500,000 means a lot to the Knicks. For that 15th roster spot.
Well, it's a yes and no, because depending, if I remember this correctly, depending on when a player gets bought out, depending on what he was making, we're not, if he's like it was a high value one, we're not even allowed to go for them.
Right. They have to be below the non-taxpayer MLE, which is about, I think, $14 million. But most of the buyout candidates that we would be interested in, I think, would have been under that threshold anyway. So I don't think that's as significant as we can bring that player along sooner, because they're prorated contracts, right? And so we were going to have to wait until March 27th or something like that with April 2nd.
I think now it can be March 27th. I think before it would have been in April, no?
Oh, I was under the impression that with Terry, it would have been like March 26th. With Yabu, it was going to be April 2nd. Yes. And I think it's even sooner.
With Alvarado. Okay.
With Alvarado. Again, I'll have to do some research on all that. Hopefully I'll have time before tonight's show. But that's my understanding. Feel free in the chat to correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I understand it.
I think you're right.
Look at David Smith giving Brunson kudos.
NYC. No, this is not a replay. This is live. And we talk about Landry, and we did. Nick Brunson drawing the double to get others open throughout. I just thought his process was really, really good. Last night, here's Wilson Dang also letting us know about the trade. Okay, all right. Listen, shout out to everybody in the chat. Like 99 people watching, on your lunch break. DJ Shuttle in the house, Geoff the Cap Guru.
I didn't star that comment, by the way, just so you know. Queen says I only star the ones that are compliments me. That was not me. I did not star that comment.
Middleton makes over the mid-level exception, so we wouldn't be able to, even if we were interested, we wouldn't be able to sign him. Leon literally flipped Yabu into Alvarado.
Okay. Well, 2 second rounders that we had to give up as well.
Which second rounders were they, though? They're that Indiana and Boston one. They those picks you can buy. I mean, you can get. They're not high value picks. It's not like we're not giving the Washington first rounder that turns into 2 picks or anything like that.
Two top of the second round picks, right? As opposed to a bottom of the second round pick. And I think the Knicks got like 3,862.
Well, we had 9 and now we have 7. So
okay. 3,000.
Yeah. But it boggles my mind at the value of how our players, in order for us sometime to get rid of a player, that we always have to tag something to go with it. That to me is a little, just weird. Plus, I'm looking at these trades and some of the value of some of these guys. I'm like, why would you give up 2 or 3 number 1s for Anthony Davis and 3 number 2s? Like, it's things like that just make me look like, how is our value of players descending when they get here for some reason? And these guys who don't even play, somehow their value goes up. It just boggles my mind. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. I will also say about this front office, a lot of times they're thinking years ahead. Also, so.
Well, and Jerrell said that the second rounders are like potato chips at this point, but they're also like they're the second round picks are the grease that makes the wheels turn in trades these days, because they're non-guaranteed contracts for the most part, and in a lot of ways that's more valuable than a guy who's locked in. In other words, you get somebody at the end of the first round, they're locked into a contract. I don't know, say a Pacome Daddier, for example, who's not very good, and now you've got him on your roster for a guaranteed amount of money. Whereas you look at a guy like Mo Diawara, for example, who's a better player in and of himself right now, but he's, we have flexibility on what we want to do with him, whether we want to keep him, whether we want to get rid of him, and so forth like that. So second round picks, in some ways, I mean, obviously the value of the individual player is probably not as good. Especially when you're talking about late second round picks. But again, flexibility and currency, that's what it's about. And that's what second round draft choices are in the modern NBA. And you see them get flipped all the time. Almost every trade that's made includes a second round pick nowadays.
Yeah. So in other words, they have more value now than they did in the past, particularly under this CBA. All right. I appreciate you, Geoff, always, Knick Nation. I appreciate you as well. Those in the chat, thank you for rocking with us. The replay gang, I look forward to listening to your comments, and the silent listeners, I haven't forgotten you. We appreciate you as well. We're going on tonight, 9 o'clock. By that time, the trade deadline will be over. We'll be talking more about this Jose Alvarado deal and any other deal the Knicks may do, but also talking about the Eastern Conference, because the landscape may change. And look, Cleveland now has Harden and Mitchell. We'll talk about that ramifications in terms of, because this is what the Knicks have to negotiate to get to the finals. They have to get through these East Coast teams. We'll talk about what Detroit did in adding another shooter. We'll talk about what Boston did in getting a center and losing a wing player in Anthony Simons, and anything else that happens between now and that time. So be sure to join us for the weekly show tonight, 9 o'clock. All right. Until next time, family, we appreciate you.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?